The following program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision. It's time now for the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Here's your host for the program, Joseph J. Zoppi.
Hello, welcome to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You could reach us at templarcashforhouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. That's one word. Or you could call us at 973-315-7990. That's again 973-315-7990. We could answer any questions you may have or email us at our website. I have one question from a listener, and I'm going to discuss it later. It has to do with due on sale clauses, assumable mortgages, so all those different things associated with that. My company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We loan money for rehabs and provide transactional or gap funding. We work with individuals that want to invest with us in single-family houses up to apartment complexes. We do not speculate. We're very protective of our money and our investors' money. I'm not a real estate agent, and we're not a brokerage, but I have individuals on staff that are agents that will sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service. This show is going to go over everything there is about real estate, those things that impact real estate. We'll talk about our rehabs, the sale of our houses, what went well, what did not go well, and the things that we learned from it. We're going to talk about the economy, interest rates. We'll discuss the trends in real estate market and how they're impacted by the different things that go on during the course of the day, month, year. Real estate is the biggest investment you have, so it's important that you know as much as possible about it. This show is based on my opinion and my experiences. Again, I always tell you, please research everything. You know, what's good about the internet, there's a lot of information out there. What's bad about the internet, there's a lot of information out there and it's not all accurate. So please, when you research things, be prudent and understand when a website is telling you something or an author is telling you something. Please understand their position and why they are leaning an article towards a certain direction or not. You know, a lot of articles are not balanced, so you have to understand that. So you need to really look at things in terms of being balanced. You know, you'll read something about how to do something and you'll have 10 different ways of doing it. Well, I'm not sure which way's the best way or the correct way, but you know, that's a classic example when you do it yourself types of things. So please understand that, and you know, like I says, research is so important these days because there's just so much noise out there, and to get the right information, you know, you have to work through it. It's just very difficult at times. And anytime you bring on someone, you hire someone, it's just difficult. And you know, you might feel very comfortable with the person, but in the end, you'll realize, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. You know, we have that all the time, and you know, we go through a pretty stringent process, but you never really know until the person comes through the door and you start working with them, whether it's a financial advisor or any other type of individual. So like I said, do your homework, get references, The other thing with references is they're good to some extent. Um, it depends who's giving you the reference. So that's the thing. So you just have to, balance that out as well. I had someone we were talking, and it was for a company, and they had an intern, and the intern was done with their job, and they were seeing if that intern could be placed anywhere else. And then after lots of questions, it was determined that the intern wasn't that good, even though they were passing the intern on to other people. When asked, well, why don't you want them? And they said it wasn't a good fit. So they didn't want the person, but it was all right. Someone else took the person. So, that's something you have to really watch. Just because someone's giving you a reference or suggesting someone doesn't mean it's the right person. It might be like, well, he's not good for me, but he might be good for you. So, really, really look at that very carefully and, ask a lot of questions. And, when sometimes I'm on the phone and I'm talking to someone at a company and then they start saying, well, I think it's this and I think it's that. Well, that means they don't know. So there's no emphatic, this is what it is, this is what it's not. So you need to pick up those subtle cues when someone's speaking in terms of their knowledge or anything else associated with that. I had multiple interviews this week with a number of publications. We'll see if they get published, and if they do, I'll notify you. One is on mortgage recasting, which we will discuss today. Another one is on appraisals, which I won't have enough time to discuss today, but maybe next week I'll do that. Again, if you need to sell your house very quickly, please give us a call. If you call up and say, Joe, or any of my staff members, I need to sell my house fast. We'll be more than happy to address it. We'll be able to come over, take a look at it, and definitely give you an offer. And the offer sometimes takes a couple days to put together. We want to make sure we do our due diligence ahead of time to ensure that you get the best possible price. On the flip side, if you just want to sell your house, please give us a call. We're listing a lot of houses lately. It's just everyone's trying to seize on the opportunity, which is great. That they understand that the market is hot and they need to sell, and that's a good thing because I've been preaching that for a while because we really don't know 6 months from now, a year from now, where we're going to be, and getting mixed signals from everyone, and usually that always happens with the economy. But especially now, we really don't know what's going to happen between the election and between everything going on. Uh, you know, Vice President Biden is saying that if he's elected and we still have issues with Corona, he's going to close down the economy. So again, that'll impact a lot of businesses. Even if the Fed starts to inject even more money into people's pockets, it's just certain companies are just not going to exist anymore. And we have a lot that right now, smaller companies, which I spoke about last week, they're just not opening again. So it's a little scary, and you have this environment where things are moving along, and if you really look at it, you really don't know what's going to happen, especially next 6 months or so. You might be getting money in your pocket. Your company might be fine, but all of a sudden it could just fall off the cliff. You got to watch it and be prudent. I think with budgeting and everything else going forward. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about today is an individual asked me a question about it's called due on sale clauses subject to. So sometimes individuals purchase properties, they're called wholesalers, and what they'll do is they'll say if the pricing isn't right in terms of how much equity they have, they're going to say, well, we'll take over the mortgage. And we might give you $5,000, then we'll take over the mortgage, we'll fix up the property, and then sell it. Okay? And what they'll do is, again, they will take over the mortgage. They will do a transfer of deed. So they'll put the house in their name and they'll give you $5,000, we'll say. Well, that technically is, we'll say, illegal, to say the least. So if you have a conventional mortgage or any type of mortgage, but we'll go with conventional first. Conventional has terms in there that say it's due on sale clause. Due on sale clause means they want the money based on the sale of the property. So if they switch it to their own name, that's basically a sale. And if they find out that, the mortgage company might not find out it's going to occur. If they find out, they're going to go to the individual and say, you have to pay us whatever the outstanding balance is. And they might not have the money, or they probably don't have the money. So you're also liable, but they're going to be pushing on the other individual that the title is in, that they want the money. So that could cause a lot of problems. Second thing is that if the individual says they're going to pay the mortgage and they don't pay the mortgage, well, that's going to impact your credit. Now, you might have lousy credit already, but still, they might just not pay it until they rehab the house and sell the house, and then eventually will get paid the mortgage. But again, there's no way to enforce that. So you're kind of in a catch-22 situation, because if you complain to the bank and they say, well, you weren't supposed to do this, then you're in trouble anyway. So it's a very touchy situation. Um, so, like I said, under conventional mortgages, you cannot assume the mortgage. So it's called the due on sale clause. Now with FHA and VA, you can assume the mortgage, but the person that's going to purchase the property still has to reapply basically, and they got to check their credit and so on and so forth. Individuals that want to just take over the mortgage, they don't want that. They're not just purchasing it that way, and they're not going to do a background check in terms of their credit and so on and so forth. They just want to take over the mortgage, pay it, rehab the house, and then sell it. Or they're going to continue to make payments, and then they're going to probably lease or rent out the property. They'll receive their rent and then pay the mortgage. But again, that's based on uh, you assuming that they're going to consistently pay and there's not going to be any problems. So, like, I was talking to my attorney one evening, and she was saying she would never write any type of contract that had those type of provisions in it, because neither the seller or the buyer can be fully protected. So that's just something to be really wary about if you do it. Now, certain states, and a lot of investors I know, they do that in other states. Virginia, I know someone that does it all the time. But in the end, again, it's a very hairy situation, and I would not recommend it at all. Okay? Please be clear on that. I would not recommend it at all. You're really on the tightrope there, and you could have a lot of problems as a result of it. So That's where we are with that. So if you hear anything about subject to, assuming the mortgage, I'll pay the mortgage, run away. So I'm closing out my segment. I'll be right back in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick, no high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
Hello, welcome back to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You can reach us at 973-315-7990. Again, that's 973-315-7990. Or you could call us at TemplarCashForHouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. And that's one word. Remember, if you need to sell your house fast, please give us a call, or you need to just for us to buy it, we'd be more than happy to. We'll definitely work something out, and we'll work with you based on your circumstance. Whether you need to sell in 2 weeks or a couple months, again, we'll be there to work with you on it. Now, obviously, if you need to sell in 6 months, we're probably not going to go into a contract if we're going to buy your house, because we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. You know, the prices might go up, they might go down. So as you extend further and further out, there's a lot more uncertainty associated with that. So we would have to balance that out and just work with you in terms of the best approach. And we could always do something creative. So there's never any black and white in terms of what we do. There's always something we could do or work with you to resolve those issues that you may have, and move forward. And that's the most important thing. Again, we're not going to shoehorn you, as I always say, into a particular type of solution. We'll provide multiple solutions in terms of what's best for you. And what's best for you usually the most money, but sometimes it's something that needs to be done very quickly. Either way, we could work with you on any scenario you have, from an inheritance to medical bills, so on and so forth. We have an individual right now we're listing a house for. He had cancer. He went to remission. Everything's been fine. And when I was talking to his wife, she was saying that we were in quarantine for years because, he was sick with cancer, so they were always wearing masks and always very protective of his health. And as soon as this year came by, everything in the beginning of the year, he was cancer free, and they were happy and they were living their life. And then all of a sudden in March they got hit again with this coronavirus, and then back to this type of protecting themselves and everything else like that. So right now what they want to do is they want to sell the house. We're going to list it for them, and they're going to take a vacation for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, traveling around. So what we're going to do is we're hiring a moving company to take certain things out of their house. It's going to be packed up and put into storage. We're going to bring our team in to do some light painting and just some light staging. where we're going to leave most of their furniture, but some of their furniture really doesn't work well with their house. They have a very small house, and they have these big sofas and chairs, and it just makes everything so cramped. So we're going to pack up those sofas and chairs, and we're going to put some furniture that's more appropriate for the size of the house. And then we're going to just do some touch ups and then put it on sale for them and list it. So we're anxious to do that for them, and we're happy that, they were able to feel free to travel around a little bit to families throughout the United States. I have people in St. Louis and all the way up to Boston. So they're going to do some traveling to the different cities where their families are, and we'll list the house, and we should be able to sell it very quickly. So we're really happy for them, and it's a great story. We love doing things like that for individuals. It just makes our business just that much easier and enjoyable. So we're really happy with that. So I'm going to talk about something I talked a little bit last week about, this one inspection that occurred, and they were nitpicking on a lot of little things. There was no major issues. Well, so when you deal with selling a lot of houses, most of the time it goes really, really well. But because of the number of houses that we deal with, sometimes they go sideways. Case in point, this one did. So after the woman received the inspection report, and this was her first house, and it was kind of kludgy because when the contract was signed, it was signed with just her name. Then we find out later that the loan was with her and her brother, so that added some complexity to it, because once you have a second party in there, it just adds complexity because a lot of times people don't agree on things. So after the inspection, the agent didn't hear from her, and the agent kept calling, and she was just delaying things, and then finally she canceled the contract. And we weren't particularly happy about it, but so be it. But it was just, she was spooked by the inspection, even though there was hardly anything on it, and I mean hardly anything. But her expectation was that there would be no problems at all, and an inspection report will always have problems. I say that all the time, and I've said it a long time ago that if an inspector doesn't have any issues on the inspection report, a lot of people will say, well, is the inspector doing a good job? I can't believe this. So the inspector always has to put things on the report. We always say that, they have to have like 33 items. It just always seems there's 30 something items on the report. One of the things he said is the front light didn't work. Well, the front light didn't work because there was no bulb in it, but it worked. So, there was just a lot of little things like that, and there was no major things. And any of the things that were major or, safety issues, we would have been more than happy to fix. We had a door that we knew about that was leading to the garage, and it wasn't a fire door. So that needed to be replaced. That definitely needed to be replaced. There was some issues with the garage door, and we were going to fix them, but he did not see any of those issues. But it was the right thing to do. But you never know if all of a sudden someone's going to back out. And, part of it, I don't know if it's true, but the real estate agent that was the buying agent, I don't know if he really handled the situation really well. So originally, when we had the property listed, he had called up and said he was going to come by. I was in the area, so I went to the house waiting for him. He was 15 minutes late, and I called up, and he said, "Oh, I forgot. She canceled." So I was kind of miffed at that, and it said, you didn't have any professional common courtesy to give me a call. And he says, well, it happens all the time with people that they miss appointments, or my clients, skip it, or so on and so forth. I know. And I said, I know, but you got to give me the common courtesy to tell me as soon as you find out. So that was one strike against them. Afterwards, during the inspection, we were there at the inspection to turn the keys over to him and let the inspector in, so on and so forth. And he showed up 15 minutes late. The inspector was there. The individual that was going to buy the house was there. We were there, and then he shows up 15 minutes late. I was like, okay. Then afterwards, we came back to the house a day later, and the door was open. It wasn't unlocked. The door was ajar. It was open. And I called him up on that. He apologized for that. So, and then I don't feel that he really managed the buyer really well in terms of setting expectations, telling them that there will always be problems on the inspection report. So I know he really didn't talk to her into the detail that was needed. So I think that spooked her, coupled with the second person, her brother, that was on the loan. So I don't know if he knew about any of the situations and looked at the report and said, well, we've got all these problems. But again, they were all very, very minor. So I don't know. I was very disappointed. And, the issue with that is that when you list the property and then it goes under contract and then comes off contract, now we get questions. Did it fail the inspection? Was there problems with the inspection? It's not a good thing that it doesn't go through. So we're very, very cautious about it, especially when we're getting offers that we want to make sure on the financing side, things like that. So we're sometimes overly cautious, but I think rightfully so, and we've always been successful because of that. But it's something that you always need to understand, that you get an offer, you got to look at it very carefully. It's just, you don't take the offer even if it's the price you want, if there's some underlying things that you need to worry about. So a good professional real estate agent will say some of those things. Sometimes they just want to close the deal, and hopefully it's going to go through. But that's not how we look at it. That's just not our model. But just be wary of that. One of the other things I'm going to talk about is called mortgage recasting. So I only have a few minutes left. So what's mortgage recasting? So say you have a mortgage and you've paid down the principal considerably. You could go back to the lender, and what they could do is what's called recasting. Recasting is basically is that they could redo the loan in terms of what your monthly payments are based on the current principal. So they'll calculate it out. It'll be for the same interest rate and the same term, but based on the existing principal that you have now. And as a result of that, that will reduce your monthly payments. Now, there's certain terms that are sometimes in a mortgage document that'll say they'll do recasting. Sometimes you could ask and they'll do it for you even though it's not explicit. So you got to ask, and it's not guaranteed that they'll recast it for you, but it is an option. Now, with the way the banks are and with Corona, it might be a little more difficult because it's just that they're undermanned right now, and if you call up, their waiting time is considerably longer. So it just might be more difficult now than in the past. But mortgage recasting is really something you could do, and it'll just reduce your payments. Now it's not the same as refinancing. Refinancing is totally different. Now with mortgage recasting, it's a couple $100s to do it, a few $100s. It's minimal, and the amount you could save is a decent amount. But when you refi, it's basically you're getting a new loan. So you're getting a new loan based on a new term and new interest rates. But you have to also get an appraisal done. You got to get a lot of different things done, which is another $3, $4, $5,000 with closing costs and points and application fees and everything else that's associated with it. So mortgage recasting's easier. Refi is a little more difficult, a little more costly associated with it. But either way, you could potentially reduce your monthly fee, which is always a good thing. So I'm going to have to close out. Thank you very much. Again, you could reach us at 973-315-7990. And that's TemplarCashForHouses.com. Peace. God bless and take care. Bye.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
The preceding program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision.